Hey folks, welcome back to Twin Tiers Homestead. So for the next project of the summer, our goal is to take water out of this nutrient-rich pond and send it up to our garden. And so what we plan to do is use the backhoe to dig a line from the pond all the way up into this outbuilding right here. It's going to come in the side of it. I've already installed a pump up there, so all I have to do is install the feed line. And then from there, I'm going to dig a line out to the garden. So all the lines will be underground, and then the sprinkler heads will be attached to the fence posts that we've used for the garden. So there's a lot of fish in this pond, so you could essentially call this aquaponics, but not the same way that maybe they do for growing indoors. But there's a lot of nutrients in here. We don't really like to water the garden off of our house water because we're on a well here and our water is treated. We have a salt system and a water filtration system, and those aren't necessarily good for the garden vegetables, even though it may be great for our shower. So rather than using that water, we're going to plumb water from this pond and put it on the garden. The other benefit is this pond has a tendency to get a little full during the summertime, and on the edges they get a little swampy, especially down over in this area. So taking water out of here, it's going to help. Anything that we put onto the garden is essentially going to run back downhill and run into this anyway. So I'm going to get on the backhoe and start digging, and Billy's going to move the tractor up, and hopefully within an hour we'll have this trench dug. We'll show you our progress as we go. So this ground up here is pretty hard. I believe what they did is they took and made the pond, and they used all of that they took out of there and they put up here, because it has a pond load of rocks. Of course, there's tons of rocks in the ground around here, 2 inches, 3 inches, usually, just enough to make your life miserable if you're trying to dig. Thankfully, I've got this backhoe. But this dirt up here, it is a lot harder than what was down by the pond, and it's like digging through concrete, but 1 foot at a time. At some point in the project, I had hit this underground pipe that was essentially used to collect water from the downspout. That was the gutter collection off of all these systems, all these buildings. So you can see there's quite a bit of water as it rains. It comes down through this pipe. Rather than rushing that away underground somewhere, I think what I might do, now that I see it, is I might take that water, collect it in a rain barrel or something up there, and then use it to water this entire area out here. And wouldn't you know it, just as we're getting ready to wrap up the work for the garden irrigation, it finally rains. It's probably been about 2 weeks. You can see how yellow the grass is through here. It's been about 2 weeks since we've had any rain. Very unusual for us in this area at this time of year. Plus it's been pretty hot. So we're going to have to wait till the rain holds off before we can give the sprinklers a try. Everything's piped in and ready to go. So it's just a matter of waiting for the rain to stop, and then we can flip it on and probably get out there and adjust those sprinkler heads. Alright folks, we are done with the majority of the work. Got the pipes coming out of the building, buried down into the ground, and then across to the garden. So it's all buried. Still have some ground repair work to take care of, but that'll come. And this heads all the way down to the pond. I got it all filled in, but obviously there's still some raking and stuff to do. But not too bad. Alright, so we're going to fire up the sprinkler system and see how it goes. This one here at the corner is just about ready to hit me. So I've got 6 sprinkler heads on it. Those 6 all result in about 5 gallons per minute. So it's about 30 gallons per minute we can put on the garden. Now with this pump, I've tested the flow rate on this pump before. It gets around 50 gallons a minute. So we've got more than enough to put a couple of extra sprinkler heads if we need to here. Which we could decide to do if we take the garden further down in coming years. So we've got the compost pile sitting way down there. Chickens are slowly working that down in, spreading it across the ground, which is great. This area here is going to take a little while to heal itself, but we'll get there. Slowly start raking it in, and yeah, it'll work out well. So finally glad to have irrigation in the garden that's not coming from our house. So as I mentioned earlier, while we have well water, we have treated water. So there's a salt system on it, and there's also a filter. And the salt alone is not really that great for the plants. It'll dry them out, they'll burn. So I'm glad to get this water from the pond, even though it doesn't look all that great. There is tons of nutrients in that stuff. And it's always a little bit full. So I'm really happy to take some water out of it, put it up here on the garden, and it's going to trickle downhill afterwards anyways at some point down through the ground. So that's about it. I'll wrap this video up. Let me know if you have any questions or comments. Aside from the fact of, will I come do this at your house? The answer is, no, I cannot. The one thing I will say is, to put this whole system in, it probably cost me less than $100. But the reason why is I already had the pump, I already had the pump relay, and I already had the timer that is down there on the wall. I had the sprinkler heads. I had all of that stuff already that came from our house in Florida, and I brought it with us. It was extra stuff that I had left over when I installed my sprinkler system down there. That was for my lawn though, and not a garden. Oddly enough, these pop-up sprinklers are not sold up here at our big box stores. I suspect it's because the ground's too hard, and people up here in the Northeast, maybe they don't think about, well, maybe at least maybe in my area, they don't think about having an in-ground irrigation system with pop-up sprinkler heads. I would imagine it'd be a little tough in the wintertime on them, but the way that we have these elevated up here, it'll be just fine. Now at the very, very end of the line down here, at the third sprinkler on the ground, and on this side as well, I have ball valves that allow me to open the lines in the wintertime so all the water will flow on out. And I will also drain the supply line down at the pond so that there's no water stuck in the pipe in the wintertime where it freezes and cracks the pipe. So for $100 and a couple of days worth of work, it'll be great to have the water on the garden as well as pulling some extra water off of the pond. So with that, I'm going to wrap this up. You guys have a great day, and as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next video. Bye folks.